Alright folks, so here we have the Benelli Imperiale 400. I'm sorry for the background noise because I'm standing in front of the showroom that's on the main road here near Whitefield in Bangalore. If you talk about size, then this is the most substantial size in this particular segment, and this goes against the likes of the Royal Enfields, their classic range, their new Meteor range, and we have the Honda Highness as well. But then nothing looks or feels as big as this. This is like a full-blown, full-size motorcycle. You can easily tell it the way this whole engine has been designed. So as you can see, this is a long stroke engine. This is a 380cc air-cooled engine, nothing fancy. This is a fuel-injected motor, and it makes nearly 21 PS of power and approximately 29 Newton meters of torque. So this is pretty much in the same figures as the Honda Highness does. But in terms of size, if size does matter, this is the thing to go for. It looks huge, it gets these big 18-inch rear, 19-inch at the front, and this big disc at the front. This is a dual disc setup. It gets dual channel ABS as standard on this motorcycle, and you cannot turn off the ABS on this, just like any other motorcycle in this particular segment. And then this gets this old style front headlight, if you can see, and the blinkers are like old style. This is pretty much identical to what you get in the classic series of Royal Enfield. And if you look at this particular side, you can see how beautifully they have designed the engine. You have the Benelli's logo down here, and then the way this thing goes up. So here it says 380cc engine. You have this Benelli's logo up top, and this beautiful design of the tank. The seat is split, and there is enough space for both rider and the pillion. And the suspension duties are taken care by Gabriel, standard telescopic forks on the front and the gas charge at the rear. While most of other manufacturers in this segment, they use Endurance, Benelli is using Gabriel. And this is how it looks from the rear. I mean, I'm in love with the size of this motorcycle. Looks humongous, looks very big. So we have the analog speedometer on this side, which has both kilometers per hour and miles per hour as well. There's a small digital display down here as well, or this place. This is about the gear position indicator and the fuel level. And on this side you have the tachometer and the other telltale lights. So if you talk about the seat height, this is not as low as the Meteor or the Honda Highness. It is pretty much accommodating. It's slightly on the higher side, but then people of shorter frame should not have any problem at all. And because of this more seat height compared to those, taller riders too should not have an issue with this. So here's the complete look. Now let's go and ride this machine and see how it feels to ride. Okay guys, let's go riding the Benelli. Here it is, the flip key. This is a piece of art. Insert it this way, turn it on. Let's go. Okay, so here we go on the Benelli Imperiale 400. The dual pod instrument cluster, the big round headlamp, this flat handlebar in chrome, and everything else. It feels substantial when you sit on the bike. And as I have said previously in my other videos, the mechanical feel of a motorcycle tells a lot about what it is, and this thing definitely has a character to it. A very linear power delivery, absolutely no sense of vibrations. We are currently at 60 kilometers per hour only. And at 205 kilos, this thing happens to be the heaviest of the other motorcycles in this bunch. Those are the Honda Highness, the Royal Enfield Meteor, or any of other Royal Enfield single-cylinder products like their classic series or the Electras. So this apparently is the heaviest among all. yes, you do feel the weight, but then it does not feel as a 205 kilo motorcycle. It feels, you know, something similar to what a classic 350 feels. Power delivery is linear, but then, you know, there is not much of a connection between the throttle and the way the engine responds. It takes a bit of time to respond to the throttle inputs. And, you know, when you're riding out on highways, overtaking vehicles, that time it will take a little bit getting used to, because initially you would expect that, okay, I'm opening the gas and it should immediately respond, it would go, but then, you know, it will take its time to respond, and that's something that the rider has to learn over a period of time. Let's chuck it through this tiny little gap. So it's not cumbersome, you know, managing this motorcycle in city. And one more thing is that this motorcycle does not get a heel shifter like usual, you know, cruisers or these retro motorcycles get. They will have both the toe as well as the heel shifter. So, you know, my mind is already letting me search for the heel shifter, but then there is none. There's only a toe shifter. Let's try a quick braking test. Okay, so the brakes are progressive, but then I believe slightly better bite from the brakes, better feedback from the brakes would be ideal. So right now I'm not using the clutch, only with the throttle at these creeping speeds you can manage. That's a good thing. That tells about how, you know, usable this engine is. The horn is awful. Even the rider cannot hear the horn, and that's one very important thing to be using it. As you saw, that guy was talking on the phone, and when you are, you know, tackling such people, you need to have a good horn, something that is loud. But on this, it's like very mellow. Okay, let's let the clutch go. We are at 1500 RPM, below 10 kilometers, and then we open it. The exhaust sound is very engaging. I find it to be much better than the Meteor as well as the Honda Highness. The Honda Highness exhaust, it feels very artificial. It does not feel like it's the engine sound, and it indeed isn't, because Honda has, you know, modified the exhaust pipe from internals. But then this is a straight exhaust. The only thing is that when the bike goes over these undulations, it is a little bit unsettling because of the weight distribution of the bike. The suspension is good, both the front and rear. They are pretty soft, but then because of the heavy nature and because of the usage of heavy metal front to rear, bike does feel a little bit unsettling. Well, we are redlining it in each gear, if you can see. Still there are no vibrations at all, which is a very, very good thing. So if you were to pick between this or the Highness or the Meteor, it's a tough choice. In practicality, the Meteor makes more sense because of the availability of the service centers and spares and everything. But if you compare it to the Honda Highness, yes, it does not get as much tech that the Highness is getting. There is no traction control system, there is no Bluetooth connectivity, or there is no USB charging port whatsoever. But the feel that you get when you're riding, you know, the connection with the motorcycle is better on this if I compare it to either the Meteor or the Highness. So service center wise, yes, that would be a slight challenge. because Benelli is still, you know, setting its service centers across India, across different places, and so is the Honda Highness thing as well, because that's where that's available only via the big wing dealerships. But then if you can take that part out, if you can sort it out, you know, I find it to be a slightly better bet in terms of the riding and the engine character, the engagement of the rider with the motorcycle on this. So there it is, my dear friends, the Benelli Imperiale 400. I hope you guys liked the video. In case if you did, do give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and I'll see you again in the next one. Thank you very much.